Hello everyone. For this week's tutorial, I'd like to discuss key signatures, as well as the difference between sharp and flat notes. You may remember me mentioning in last week's tutorial how all scales are based off of the chromatic scale, where the most common scales use 8 notes, whereas the chromatic scale uses 12. The 4 remaining notes can either be sharp or flat, depending on your perspective. And even the traditional scale discussed last week can be thought of as sharp or flat compared to other notes. The piano keyboard is the most convenient way to visualize which notes are a regular letter and which notes are sharp or flat, as all the regular letters are always white, and all the sharps and flats are always black. On a keyboard layout, you will notice that for each octave, all of the white keys have black keys between them, with E and F and B and the C on the octave up being the only exceptions. They are directly next to each other with no black keys. This is important to memorize for the two most important kind of keys, major and minor. Just like how major and minor chords convey different moods, major and minor keys do the same exact thing. Where a major scale starting at C would do C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C with none of the black keys being touched. So this would mean logically that there is a half step in the middle and end of the sequence and a whole step in all the rest. And the minor scale is instead a half step at the second step instead of the third, and a half step at the fifth where the seventh normally would be. The letter of a key signature before the word major or minor indicates the starting note of the pattern. So for example, because do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do starts at C, it would be called the C major scale. In formal sheet music notation, there are specific keys often used, called the treble clef and the bass clef, where clef is French for key. They are known as that because the treble clef covers the higher frequencies and the bass clef the lower ones. They also have a specific reason for why they are drawn the way they are, as the curl in the middle of the G clef is exactly on the same horizontal line as the note G4. Similarly, the two dots on the bass clef are arranged to line up horizontally with F3. The last type of clef is not as often used because it is more complicated in that it can be used for multiple reference notes. In particular, the two referencing styles are called alto clef and tenor clef, with the center of the alto clef lined up with middle C, which is another way of saying C4. And the tenor clef is similar, except that its middle is a few notes above. You will also see that directly next to the general symbol that represents the key signature are a bunch of flat notes or sharp notes, where a flat note means go down one half step from where you are currently at, and a sharp note means go up one half step instead. And multiple sharps or flats mathematically adds up. So two flats means goes down two half steps. 3 flats means 3 half steps, and so on. As mentioned earlier, however, the caveat is that a sharper flat note is more of a subjective thing rather than an absolute measurement. So for example, D flat would be equally as correct as C sharp. They both refer to the same exact pitch. Theoretically, by similar reasoning, you could express a key of D as a key of C with 2 sharps. But because we want to make reading sheet music as easy as possible, we would generally not use that kind of convention. Putting all of this together, we can now determine by its name what the key signature will do. So for example, a key signature of D flat major would start at the first black key and then follow the major progression of steps and half steps mentioned earlier. Now that I've comprehensively gone over all the key signatures, I can transition my discussion from real-life sheet music to working with MIDI files, as they are analogous to sheet music for digital electronics. Join me in next week's tutorial where I will do exactly that.
Don't forget to subscribe if you found this video informative, and make sure to see other tutorial videos, and follow me on either Facebook or Twitter for more content.